Many of our garden plants are really hardy and they can resist cold weather damage. But sometimes we get warm weather followed by cold weather. You can have a frost at 40 degrees on a crystal clear night, no wind, and in certain parts of Virginia, you can have a frost in the latter part of May. So you might want to protect some of your plants. In some cases, you can't protect them, you just have to live with the damage. This is a euonymus, got very cold after a period of warm weather, and it definitely was damaged, not to the point where this plant will come back. And if you look closely at the foliage, it's bent over. Some of it is water soaked. It got so cold that the cells exploded. Recommendation on this plant is just wait a few weeks, see what happens, then go in and prune it. Sometimes it's too early to tell how much damage occurs to our plants. Early blooming plants like flowering almonds and even some of our flowering cherries can be damaged. This beautiful white form here was damaged and the buds are all soft and mushy. Nothing you can do right now. Now this tree is just too big to protect. If you had a smaller tree, you could take a sheet or a blanket and completely cover it to the ground and even put a light bulb in it to help protect. Some of the pink flowering cherries here have been completely damaged. You'll not see any blooms on them this year. Even our forsythias are turning brown and were damaged. And one of the plants that's planted too much, the Bradford pear, was very much damaged. All of the buds are brown. Even some of the foliage is water soaked. The great thing about Bradford is that honeybees love them. So the honeybees are going to have to look for something else this year. Even some of our plants that are hardy, like flowering daffodils, can be damaged when it gets very cold, especially when they're in bud or flower. Sometimes they'll lay right on the ground. If you're going to cover your plants to protect them, I don't recommend plastic. Plastic has no protective value. In fact, sometimes plastic can cause more damage to the plants. What you want to do is gather the heat from the ground and use that to keep your plants warm. So you can use something like a thicker blanket, and sometimes you can buy quilts, or you can even get thinner product that would be more of a frost. This is like a freeze protectant, but you can get thin products that are frost protectants. Make sure that you don't damage the flowers or break your stems. That really is not accomplishing anything. What I like to do is somehow keep the blanket above the plants so the heat creates that nice warm area. So what I will do is use crates and set the crates out to protect some of the flowering or budding plants. And then what I'll do is use a blanket. I usually like to do this when it's still warm outside, and I usually like the white blankets, and then you cover this, and the important thing is you cover all the way to the ground. And then if it's windy, you're going to want to use some bricks, and sometimes I keep them covered for a day or two. You can also protect things like hydrangeas, maybe even your roses, by covering them completely to the ground. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.